Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Matt. The channel is Dollar Box Bangers. Recently, I've done quite a couple PSA submission reveals, and I've had some people reach out, kind of, just asking questions about the process and what goes into it, and kind of how it all works. So I wanted to do, I wanted to go over everything from what you need to get started to what you do on the computer to submit the order. And I realize there are plenty of these videos out there, but my hope is that you'll see something today in this video that you haven't seen before that could help you, in your process for submitting. So if you've ever been thinking about it, let's get into it. So the first thing that I think you would need, this is just a regular microfiber cloth. You use it to wipe down the card, get any dust off, any debris, any gunk that could be on it. This is just a good way to clean up the card a little bit. I also recommend some gloves, just regular nitrile gloves. When you're handling the card, the last thing you want is to get a fingerprint on it and have that ding you, if you submit it. You're also going to need card saver ones. These are the wider type, so it's easier to get the card in, and for whatever reason, this is what, the grading companies want you to send the card in. I hate these things, but it is what it is. Fourth, and I think one of the most important things you can possibly buy, this is a centering tool. You can get these on eBay for like $7 or $8, but they have lines on them that help you determine if a card is centered or not, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. And then lastly, and possibly the most important thing, is a little light set up with magnification. All right, so how do I start? Okay, so I pull my card out. I start by just giving it an eyeball test. Is there anything obvious to me that looks bad? I'm looking at this. No, not really. Gonna give it a quick wipe down. Normally I would have gloves on. And then if it passes the eyeball test, then I take it over to magnification. How well you guys can see this. And then I look at the card under magnification. I know that looks terrible in the camera, but you get the idea. So if it passes that test, if I don't see anything on the surface, no dings or nicks or, dents of any type, any scratches, then I move on to the next step. And that is making sure that the card is centered. And I would argue that that's possibly one of the most important things. All right, so what do we do? Hold your card up to your centering tool. You can see how it has the lines on it. And I chose the card that's easy to judge because it has kind of this border within the border. So what I'm doing is I start on the right. I'm going to use this border right here, and I'm looking to see what number that lines up with. You see how that's on a 3? That's good. So now I move to the top. There's a 3 on the top. Now I move to the left. So we're using kind of that black border now and sort of the edge of that circle. That's a 3. And then I move to the bottom. We're going to use the bottom of the red box. That's also a 3. So in my opinion, this card is centered. There are no surface issues. Doesn't have any bent corners. There's nothing crazy going on with the edges. So if I decide that this is a card I want to grade, this card has passed my test. So that is my process for judging a card. There's more to it, and I'll get to those right now. Thanks.
Next step is, and I guess you could argue you could do this beforehand, before you did what we just did, but you want to make sure that the card you're submitting is worth submitting. So for this example, I've chosen the Bobby Witt Jr. base rookie card from Update. And what I'm looking at is sold comps for a PSA 9. So you can see that they've recently sold for $18.50. We've got a 10 right here that sold for $35. So this is where you have to make a decision. If it costs you $19 to grade, add another $1.50 for the shipping and the insurance. So you're going to be at like $20.50 to grade this card, not including whatever cost associated you have with the card itself. So let's call it $21 total. So you have to, this is very important. Is it worth the risk? Okay, so a 9 is selling for 18.50. You're going to lose some money here. If it comes back a 9, you're losing money. If it comes back a 10, you can expect to sell it between 35 and 40 bucks. You've got $21 into it. eBay's going to take another 15% of that. So, maybe you make 10 to 15 bucks, probably closer to 10. So this is something that I think is very important to consider. And I would do it with every card, make sure that it makes sense, and make sure that if it comes back a 9 or worse, you can at least break even. That's kind of where I like to be. But just another factor to consider. So something else I want to look at is you can also look at pop reports, and I'm just on the PSA website right now. So let's do Bobby Witt Jr. update. See what this brings up. So I'm trying to find okay, here we go. So a Bobby Witt Jr. base has been graded 1,200 times already. 775 gems, 454 nines. So this gives you an idea of how hard the card grades. So let's do this math real quick. So what I'm trying to do here is figure out at what percent these cards have gemmed up so far. So I'm going to take the number of gem mint 10s, which is 775, divided by the total number that have been graded so far. That's 1,289. That comes out to 60.1%. So these cards grade a 10 at a 60% clip right now. So that's also some information that you can use when determining whether or not you want to send a card off. But these are two important things that I would look at with each card, just again to help you really determine if it's a card you want to send in for grading or not. Yeah. Have screened our cards. We decided they look good. There's no obvious flaws with them. We've checked sold comps. We've checked pop reports. All of those things check out, and it makes sense to send the card in. So now we come to psacard.com and scroll over to the services tab, and then we want to do trading card grading. So we'll click on this. From here, you just kind of scroll down until you see this little button. We're going to start submission. And then we go over to start. Okay, we're going to start a new submission. So you can see here they have a bunch of different options, but for most of us, this is what we're going to be. This is just basically like a regular baseball card. So we're going to want to stay here and click next. We are doing grading. We're not doing a crossover or a holder. And we're going to do a non-autograph authentication. You do have a couple other options, like if you had a card with an auto and you wanted the auto graded as well as the card, you could choose this option. Or, these other ones they all do different things. But for our submission, we're just going to get the card graded. So we're going to highlight this one. We're going to go to next. Okay, so right here, you have all your different options, and this is where this can be sort of confusing. If you are a non-PSA member and you want to do the cheapest possible way, you would choose the value 1980 to present. So that's going to cost 25 bucks a card, $4.99 declared value. Don't read in too much to declared value. I mean, unless you have a major banger, I would submit the cheapest way possible. The worst that could happen is they're going to upcharge you. It's not a big deal. It's not a big fee in most cases. But if you are a member, I believe you qualify for bulk, and then you could get it at 19 bucks a card. But for this example, we're going to assume that we're a non-member. We're going to have one card graded, so we're going to choose the value 1980 to present. And click next. Okay, so this is where we want to enter the description of our card. So I'm going to go back to that Shohei Ohtani card. So we're going to do Shohei Ohtani. 2022 update. And then the number on the back here is 87. All right, so it has populated 20, the 2022 Tops Update 1987, 87 TBU5. That is what matches the number on my card, so I'm going to click that. There is one card. If you had multiples, you would obviously change the quantity. The declared value. If you want to research these cards further and see what a PSA 10 is selling for, you can do that. I'm going to assume this is a $60 card as a PSA 10, so that's what I'm going to make the declared value. I'm going to save that. And now you can see that this card has been added to my order. Over here you can see that I've submitted one card. It's going to cost me $25, and I've declared that it's worth $60. So now if you had more cards to do, you would just keep going here. You would enter them and you would add them and you would just create a running list. But for our sake, we're just going to do this card. So let's hit next. So we want it shipped back to us. You don't want it shipped to the vault. So now this is where you can see it's going to cost you $19 for insured shipping. Wow, that seems crazy. I had no idea it was that much. Grading one card is expensive. Yikes. But information and personal information type stuff, so I had to kind of skip over that. But this is the next step. It just kind of shows you everything here. So you'd have to go agree to their terms and conditions and hit next. And finally, this page, so it gives you a detailed list of things to do here, right? So there are a few things that you have to print out. This one, where it says PSA copy in 1 and 2. So what you do is you hook up your printer and you print all pages. It's going to print out a PSA copy 1, PSA copy 2, and then I think you also get a copy. But remember that PSA copy 1 and PSA copy 2 have to go in the box with the cards. Then the next thing you need to do is you need to come down here and print this little label. So this label will be very small. It's literally just the size of a barcode. Once you print that, you cut it out and you tape it to the box. And finally, you come down here and you use this one right here. I would assume most of us will be shipping with USPS. So then you use this address right here. That's what you put on the box, and that's where you ship it to. So that's how it's done, guys. It's very simple. Okay, guys, final step would be packaging. So take a box or bubble mail or whatever you have handy, obviously depending on how many cards you're sending. I suggest, just doing one card, but if you had a stack, obviously protect them as good as you can with some cardboard and painter's tape. But that would go in the box. We'll do a little bubble wrap. And then we're going to don't forget you're going to have PSA copy 1 and copy 2 paperwork. It's basically just got your order information on it, so that's going to have to go in the box. We tape up our box, fill out the address, attach it. Then don't forget your little label. That's another thing that you have to print out. It's going to go right about here or so. Tape everything up, and that's as simple as shipping it, taking it to the post office and shipping it out. I know it can be kind of intimidating. I hope this helped. Like I said, if you guys are curious about doing this, reach out. I'd do my best to answer any questions. I'm by no means an expert. I think I've sent 3 or 4 myself, but I'm trying to learn. And one thing I will say, if you're thinking about sending stuff to get graded, man, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. The reveals are one of the most exciting things that I've experienced as a collector. There's just nothing can match that feeling of pulling out a big Gem Mint 10. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. And like I said, I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far, take a like and subscribe. Thanks.